Okay, good morning all. Am I audible? Can you hear me properly? Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir, you're
Yes, sir.
audible.
You are audible.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so this is not my scheduled class since I didn't take Wednesday's class. That's why I'm taking today's class actually. So before I start today's topic, just I'm summarizing the topics that I have already discussed in your class. So in the last class, I have actually discussed what is the function of complex variable. So there are two kind of functions. One is a complex valued complex function, and this is a real valued complex function. Then I've discussed the geometrical significance of a complex valued function. So you know that by function of one variable we represent a curve geometrically. A function of two real variable we represent the surface, and by complex valued function we actually transform a two-dimensional geometrical figure from one organ plane, that is the independent z organ plane, to dependent w organ plane. Since there are four variables, so we can't incorporate them in one geometrical figure. Rather, we could consider it as if it is transforming a two-dimensional geometrical figure from one organ plane to another organ plane. After that, I have discussed what is a single valued complex function and multi-valued complex function, and I have discussed also the graphical representation. Through MATLAB, you can represent the single valued and multi-valued functions. So all these things I have discussed in the previous class. So in today's class, I am going to discuss how we can actually check the existence of the limit for a complex valued function and how to evaluate it. So before I discuss how to evaluate or check the existence for the limit of a complex valued function, just like the previous cases, I will discuss it with comparing the function of one real variable and function of two real variables, so that you can incorporate your previous knowledge to this topic that we will be studying here. Just let me share my screen first. Can you see the screen? Is it visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, thank you. All of you join in time. It's already 10:40. So Prokiti, now you are joining actually. So this is very much uh, problematic for me actually. So limit of a complex valid function. So before I discuss
Sir,
the
actually, there is one webinar going on which was sent to us by the faculty. So we assumed that it would be taking in place of the class given the time. So that was the misunderstanding.
oh, okay. Okay. Before that, just I want to discuss what is the significance of limit. So while we will be discussing the limit of a complex valued function, before that, just I want to discuss what is the limit for a function of one real variable. Already you have studied in class 11 and how to calculate the or how to check the existence of limit and calculate the limit, and we have studied in first semester for the multivariable calculus. So before you know how to evaluate the limit, you have calculated a lot of things in class 11 for your board examination, for JE examination. But I want to ask, why do you find the limit for a function? What is the significance of finding out the limit? So a function is given, and let's say we are checking the limit at x equals to x0, x naught, x equals to x naught. That means limit x tends to x naught, fx we evaluate. So then we check whether it exists or not. So my question is, why do we check the limit, and what is the significance of finding out the limit for function of one variable? So already you have studied in class 11, so that's why I'm asking this.
Sir, to check the continuity of the function.
So again, these are uses actually. By using the limiting value, I can check, by checking limit, I can check the continuity, I can check the differentiability. But these are all uses of finding out the limit of a function. But this cannot be the main reason or significance of limit. So for a function is given, so there is no continuity and differentiability. So for that function, why do you check the limit? For an arbitrary function is given, say where you have been given a particular point where you need to find out the limit. So why do we check the limit at that point if arbitrary function is given?
Sir, if on that point we cannot get the value of the function, when we approach that at the closest, how much closest and what is the value giving the function? That is.
Sir, we use limit because since we have to check the function where it will work or it will not work.
Work means
Means sir, where it will be defined or from for certain values, certain function may not be defined, sir. So we check the limit, sir, where like that, sir.
sorry. Okay, this is partially right, but just let me discuss this. So while we are defining a function y equals to fx, you know that function should be defined on a set that is called a domain, and the definition of the function lies in the codomain. So this is the domain, and this is codomain. So a and b. So while we are defining this function, so function should be defined at each and every value of the domain. Say for example, 100 values are here. So function must have a definition corresponding to each and every value that the domain has. Say if 9 values are there, then function should have a definition in all the 9 values. So while we are defining this function, since this is a one independent variable, so we can take the value of x from here and the value of y we should get at the codomain. So the function must possess the value corresponding to each and every value that the domain has. That means corresponding to each and every value of the domain, the function must provide a definition. Otherwise, this will not be a function. So you know that? Is that clear? Do you know this or not?
Yes, sir, we know.
Then let us define a function, say f from R to R. So the domain and codomain both are set of real numbers. So we are defining three functions. One is f of x equals to x square, and this is f of x equals to x square minus 4 by x minus 2, and another is fx equals to 1 by x. So there are three functions. Now the domain is set of real numbers and codomain is also the set of real numbers, and out of these three, which one will be a valid function and which one is not, if I keep this
First,
as intact, and second and third?
sir, it will not be valid for x equal to 2 and that one for x equal to 0.
Yeah, very good. Because here, whenever I am defining this function as fx equals to x square, if I choose the value of x as the independent variable as any real number, say root 2, 1 plus root 3, 5, 9, minus 9 by 4, square root of 9 by 3, like that, all the value if I choose, then I will be getting the value of x square. So for each and every value that the set of real number has, that means corresponding to each and every value in the domain, the function has a definition. But here, apart from x equals to 2, at all other values the function has a definition, and here apart from x equals to 0, at all other values the function has a definition. So if I want to keep this as intact as the domain, then these two will not be function initiate. Now what do we need to do? So since at 2 the functional value doesn't exist, so by taking limit means actually the limiting value means actually approximated value. So by taking the limit, we need to check whether we could approximate the functional value at 2 or not. So that is actually the main reason of finding the limit. So here the function is defined exactly for each and every value that the domain has, but here the function is not defined exactly at x equals to 2, but at all other values the function is defined exactly, function provides us the exact value. So since at x equals to 2 function doesn't have any appropriate or exact value, so by taking the limit we want to find out whether, or we want to check whether the value of the function can be approximated at x equals to 2 or not. So if it can be approximated at x equals to 2, we say that limit exists, and if we can't approximate the functional value at x equals to 2, then we say that the limit doesn't exist. Similarly here also the same thing happens. So without finding out the limit, if we want to define this function, what do we need to do? So from domain, just we need to discard 2. So if we exclude 2, then it will be a function, because apart from 2 at all other points the function is defined. Here if I discard 0 as a domain, then it will be a function. But if I consider this as a domain, then either the function must have a definition at each and every value corresponding to this domain. Otherwise, if some values are there where function doesn't have an exact value, then we need to check whether the limiting value exists. If the limiting value exists, then we can keep this domain intact. Or thirdly, if neither the exact value exists or nor the approximated value exists, then we need to actually remove that point from the domain, then only it will be a function, otherwise it will not be a valid function. Is that clear or not? Is that clear up to this, or do you have any doubt?
Clear, sir.
Okay. Now we'll discuss how we can check the existence of limit graphically. So after that we use different rules to evaluate the limit, but before that just we need to check the existence of the limit, because if the limit exists, then only we can evaluate the limiting value. But if the limit doesn't exist, then there is no scope of evaluating the limit, because the limit should exist first. After that only we can evaluate the limiting value. So first we need to check whether the limit exists or not. So how we can check? Let's say the function we are taking as x square minus 4 by x minus 2. So since the number of independent variable is 1, so there are total 2 variables. X is the independent variable, y is the dependent variable. So I can represent the graph in a 2-dimensional real plane. So this is the independent axis, x axis, and this is the y axis, and say this is the graph of the function. So at x equals to this is not the exact graph. So roughly I am assuming that this is the graph, and at x equals to 2 the function doesn't have a value, but at all other point this is a functional value, this length is a functional value, this length is a functional value, this length is a functional value. So apart from x equals to 2, at all other points the function has a value, but at x equals to 2 the function doesn't have a value. So what do we need to do? So what we can do, so here independent variable is a 1-dimensional point, so it exists at this particular point. But apart from this point, since at all other points the function has a value, so we need to take a neighborhood around this point. So since this is a 1-dimensional point, so we can take the neighboring points in the form of an interval. So we can take this interval, open interval around this point to consider the neighborhood, that means the neighboring points. Now if I want to approach from all nearer points, that is over the line, towards this point, then what are the possible directions that we can approach towards this point from the nearer points? Have you got my question? That means this is a point fixed, so I want to approach from the nearer points. Which are the nearer points? The points which are over this line, because they are the nearer points which are on the line, this line. So what are the directions that we could approach towards this point from the nearer points inside that interval?
Yes, sir. Two directions, sir.
There are two directions. Either we could approach from this end towards this point, or we could approach from this end towards this point from the nearer point. So there are two directions. So what we are doing here, around this point we are taking an interval. So there is the left hand interval, this is the right hand interval. So let's say we are taking this length and this length we are taking as equal length. Let's say this length we are taking as 0.001. So this point will be 2.001 and this will be 1. So at all other points the function is defined. So what we will be doing, we will be varying the value of the independent variable around 2 from the right hand side of 2 towards 2. That means we will be putting 0.001, then 0.11, 2.01, like that. We will be putting the value, then we will be approaching gradually towards 0. Then if you put those values here on the over the function, you will be finding that the functional value, let's say this is value, the functional value is 4. So more you will be approaching from the greater values of 2 towards 2, you will be finding that the functional value will be approaching from the greater values of 4 towards 4. but this value will be very nearer to 4. That means 4.0001, 4.011, 4.12, like that. That means if I approach from the greater values of 2 towards 2 from the right hand side, then we will be finding that the functional values will be approaching towards 4 from the greater values of 4. Similarly, if I vary the value of x from the lesser values of 2 towards 2, we will be finding that the functional value will be moving towards 4 from the lesser values of 4. That means let's say 3.99, 3.998, 3.8989, like that. So this will be very close to 4, but this will be lesser than 4. So more will be moving towards 2 from the left hand side of 2 gradually. We will be finding that the functional value is gradually moving from the nearer values of 4 towards 4. Is that clear? Is that clear or not? Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
So here I can say that while we are varying the independent variable around 2 in a small interval, so the functional value will lie around a small interval of 4. So here I could say that approximately the functional value can be considered at 2 as 4. So 2 is the limiting, 4 is the limiting value or approximated value of the function at x equals to 2. Then we use different formula to evaluate the limit. You know that then we use this formula x tends to 2, x square minus 4 by x minus 2. So here we can factorize the numerator x minus 2 into x plus 2, then x minus 2. Since x tends to 2 but x is not equals to 2, so this can be eliminated. So this value, since x tends to 2, so x is not equals to 2. Now this function is defined at x equals to 2. So you can put the value of x equals to 2. So this value will be 4. So this is the process to evaluate the limit. But before that, we can actually follow this process because we know that limit exists here and equals to 4. Is that clear? Now,
Yes, sir.
what will happen? Is it clear to everyone? Because I am getting response from only one student.
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay. Now, what will happen if I consider the function as 1 by x? So here also at x equals to 0, the function is not defined. So this is y equals to x. So ultimately this will be xy equals to 1. So if I want to draw the graph, then what will be the locus of this graph? X axis is the y axis. What will be the locus?
Hyperbola.
The rectangular hyperbola, like that. All of you know this. This will be the graph. So here also at 0 it is not defined. So I will be taking a small interval around 2. Then in the right hand side, what will be the points? 0.01, 0.001. These are the small points. In the left hand side, the points will be minus 0.01 because 0 is the point. So in the left hand side, there will be negative values 0.001. So if I put 0.01, what will be the functional value? Functional value will be 1 by 100. Sorry, 100. If I put 0.001, it will be 1000. So more will move towards 0 from the greater values of 0. We will be getting that functional value is gradually approaching towards plus infinity. Similarly, from the left hand side of 0, more will be approaching towards 0. We will be getting that the functional value is gradually approaching towards minus infinity. So here we are changing the value of the independent variable in a small interval around 0, but the functional value is lying in a huge interval from plus infinity to minus infinity. So here in the previous case, the independent variable is varying in a small interval, the dependent variable is also varying in the same kind of property in small interval. But here we are finding that we are varying the independent variable in a small interval, but the value of dependent variable is varying in a huge interval. So here at once we can say that the limit doesn't exist, because it cannot be approximated, because they are not actually approaching towards a particular value, they are actually scattered in a huge domain, huge region. So here whenever I am defining this function, since the limit doesn't exist here, so here if I consider the domain as r, then the function will not be valid. So here I need to take the domain as r minus 0. Is that clear now or not?
Yes, sir.
Then there comes epsilon delta definition. What is epsilon delta definition of finding out the limit? Let's say this is fx, the function y equals to fx. This is actually say x equals to x0. So I need to check the limit x tends to x0. So this limit will exist if I take an interval around x0. Say this length is delta. So x0 plus delta, x0 minus delta, and this value is L. So the functional value is varying from so this is L minus epsilon. অনেক লোক আছে, অনেক লোক আছে, অনেক লোক আছে তো ফাঁকা। So here we are, this is a delta length, that means we are taking a length delta around the independent variable and we are varying the independent variable around this, and the value of the dependent variable is varying around L in a huge interval. Okay, so here epsilon and delta are comparable. Let's say here in the case of say x square minus 4 by x minus 2, the limiting value is 4, so we are taking delta as say 0.001. So the independent variable is varying from 2 plus 0.01, so 2 minus 0.001, this length. Okay, then if you put the values, you will be finding that the functional value is actually moving from 4 minus 0.0001. Let's say, let us, so here epsilon is 0.0001. So here delta by 10 equals to epsilon. So here epsilon delta is very small and they are comparable. That means we are varying the value of independent variable in a small interval, then the value of dependent variable is also varying in a small interval. That means x minus x0, here x0 is 2, is less than delta. For that, fx minus L is less than epsilon. Then here we can say that the limit exists. But in the next case, 1 by x, although delta is small, we are varying the value of independent variable in a small interval, but value of the dependent variable lies in a huge interval. So here at once we can say that this definition will not be followed. So in that case, limit doesn't exist. Is that clear? Is that clear or not?
Sir, can you repeat this?
Okay. Okay, just wait for him. কি বলছে? হ্যাঁ, সবাইকে দুদিন করে, মানে যারা ক্লাসে তাদের দুদিন করে, যারা বসে আছে তাদেরকে পাঠাচ্ছে না কেন তাহলে? দুদিন করে যেতে মানে ক্লাস ফেলে দিয়ে ক্লাস অ্যাডজাস্ট করে দিতে হলে, এটা কি ধরনের চাংড়ামো এগুলো? দেখি বলছে, তারপরে কি হয়েছে? তবে 4 জন কোথায়? 5 জন তো। ও নিজেকে ধরছে না নাকি? এ কি 5 জন তো, মানে 4 জন কি করে হলো? আরে 5 জনই তো, কে রে ভাই? হ্যাঁ, তো 4 জন কি করে হলো? ওকে ফোন করে বলো, নিজেকে ধরছে না, নিজে আসবে না কোনোদিন, যাবে না নাকি? কোঅর্ডিনেটর হলে যেতে হবে না ওকে? দিয়ে তারপরে কি বলছে? আরে 8 দিন থাক কি 20 দিন থাক, তো 4 জন মানে এটা সাব ডিপার্টমেন্টে কেন যাবে? যারা কেমিস্ট্রি ফিজিক্স লোক বসে আছে তারা যাবে। কি অদ্ভুত লোক রে ভাই, এটা পাগল করে দেবে। এটা মানে এইসব বাজে কাজ করার জন্য এখানে যেতে হবে আমাদের। দিয়ে তারপরে কি বললো আলটিমেটলি? দেখি বলেছে তারপর তো সেকেন্ড পিরিয়ড তোমারও আছে আমারও আছে, তো কে নেবে? ও নিক, তাহলে ও নেবে। কি বলতে পারে না কথা গিয়ে নাকি? তা হয়েছে কেন কোঅর্ডিনেটর কথা বলতে পারে না তো? আর কেমিস্ট্রি লোক বসে আছে, ফিজিক্স লোক বসে আছে, তাদের কোনো ক্লাস নেই, তাদেরকে পাঠাক গিয়ে ভাই। আর 8 জন 4 জন কি করলো? তুমি সেটা বলে 5 জনই তো। ও নিজে যাবে না কোনো দিন নাকি? তো ওকেও পাঠাবে, একেসিকেও পাঠাবে, একেসিও যাবে টেক্সট আবি, তো এখন তো টাইপ করে ক্লাস নেওয়ার সময় নেবে, ডিপার্টমেন্টে বিলং করবে, এমনি কাজের সময় নেই। তো বিএম সিনিয়র হয়ে যদি যেতে পারে, একেসি কেন যাবে না? So, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Yeah. So what
Yes, sir, you are
I'm saying here, say for example, here we are taking the value of x as 2, x0 as 2. So we are varying the value of independent variable from minus 0.001 to 0.001. So here delta is actually 0.001. Okay. So here the value of epsilon is actually let's say 0.0001. That means if you vary the value of x inside that interval, you will be finding that the value of the function will be varying in that interval around 4. Is that clear? So here delta is this and epsilon is this. That means independent variable is varying in that interval and dependent variable is varying in that interval. Okay. Okay. Is that clear or not?
Yes, sir.
So that means x minus x0, x0 is the value where we need to find the limit. X minus x0 is difference is delta, less than delta. For that, the functional value minus the limiting value, this difference, that means this difference is also epsilon. That means this is small, and they are comparable. But what is happening in that case? So delta is this length. That means independent variable is varying in that interval, but dependent variable is varying in that huge interval. So here the limit doesn't exist because epsilon and delta are not comparable. Is that clear? Is that clear or
Yes, sir.
not? Okay. Then we'll move on to the limit of function of two real variables z equals to fxy. Okay. So here the number of independent variable is 2 and the number of dependent variable is 1. So total there are 3 variables. So we can incorporate these 3 variables in a 3-dimensional real plane x, y, z plane. So here the independent variable since are 2. So this will not exist in a single line, single straight line. Rather it will be 2-dimensional point. Let's say we need to find the limit. This is equals to L. So then say this is the x0 y0 point and the graph will be, so this is the point where the limit doesn't exist. So here we need to take a neighborhood around this point, we need to take the neighboring point, but since this is a 2-dimensional point, so like the 1-dimensional point, we can't take an interval to find the neighborhood. Rather we need to take a closed region. Either we can take a closed circular region or closed rectangular region as the domain or neighborhood around this point. Okay, then these are the nearer points. So what I can do, so like the previous case, here also I need to put those values in the function and I need to evaluate the value, functional value. Then by checking or by considering all the functional values corresponding to this point, I can actually evaluate the limiting value. Okay. So here also I can vary the nearer neighboring points, and by putting the neighboring points on the function, I need to check the functional value. If they can be approximated, they are coming close towards a particular value, then we can say that the limit exists here, otherwise the limit doesn't exist at x0, y0. Okay. So here just tell me, so in the previous case, since this is a 1-dimensional independent variable, so you can approach towards this point from the nearer points, either from this direction or from this direction. But since here infinite number of points are there in that neighborhood, so how I could approach from the nearer points to this point? How many directions are there? Can anyone tell me how many directions are there?
There are infinite direction. We can move anyway, sir.
Hmm? Sorry, your voice is not audible. Your voice is cracking.
Sir, infinite direction, sir.
Infinite directions. Okay, because
Yes, sir.
from this point I can approach like that, from this point I can approach like that, from this point I can approach like that. So in the previous case, since there are 2 directions, so I can check actually the left hand limit and right hand limit, and if both are equal, I say the limit exists. But here, in order, if I want to use this method, so since there are infinite directions, so if the limit exists, then the limiting value I need to check corresponding to the infinite number of directions. So if the limiting value exists and are equal corresponding to the infinite number of directions, then I say that limit exists. Otherwise the limit doesn't exist. Is that clear? But it is very hectic, it is not possible because infinite number of directions are there. It is not possible for a human being to check infinite number of directions and find out the limit and compare them and say whether limit exists or not. This is quite impossible. So that's why by this method it is not possible to check the existence of limit. We need to use the epsilon delta method. So I'll discuss this method if I get time. But the method that you have studied in first semester, that means the path dependent or independent method, by that we can actually prove the non-existence of limit. Why? Say there are infinite number of directions, say P1 directions, P2 directions, infinite number of directions are there. So if limit exists, then the limiting value should be equal with respect to each and every path. But if I want to disprove that, that means if I want to show that the limit doesn't exist, then it is enough for us to choose any two paths, Pi, Pj, and if I can show that the limiting values are not equal with respect to two arbitrary paths, then at once I can say the limit doesn't exist, because if limit exists, then limiting value should be equal with respect to all the paths. So if by choosing any two arbitrary paths I can show that the limiting values are different, then at once I can say that the limit doesn't exist in that case. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes.
this method actually we can use to disprove or to show the non-existence of the limit. So just I am giving one example. You have found out this limit in the first semester. Yes. So here the point is 0, 0 point. So you want to approach to the point 0, 0 from infinite number of directions like that. So if I want to show that limit doesn't exist here, so I need to check any two paths. So without choosing any two arbitrary paths, I am checking actually the family of paths as y equals to mx. So by y equals to mx, I am choosing infinite number of straight lines which passes through the origin. So if I put it here, then x and y will be dependent to each other. So either x will be replaced by y or y will be replaced by y. So if I replace y by x, so it will be dependent on x only. So this will be 2x into mx by x square plus m square x square. So this will be limit x tends to 0 to x square m. Okay. So here since x tends to 0, so x is not equals to 0. So that's why we can eliminate x square from numerator and denominator, and the limiting value will be 2m by 1 plus m square. So here if you change the path, that means if you take one directions, if you take the straight line y equals to x, so here m will be 1. If you take y equals to half x, so m will be half. So if you put m equals to 1, you will be getting one limiting value. If you put m equals to half, you will be getting another limiting value. So in that way, since the limiting value is dependent on the parameter of the family of paths, so the here limiting value will be changed if I change the path. That's why in that case the limit doesn't exist. You have studied this in first semester, I guess you know. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So why we are using this method? Because whenever we will be discussing the function of complex variable, so fz equals to w. So independent variable is z and dependent variable is w. But here z and w, since both are the complex numbers, so each and every complex number must have a real and imaginary value. So x is the imaginary value, y is the x is the real value, y is the imaginary value. Here u is the real value, v is the imaginary value. So here also number of independent variable are 2. So that's why we can use this method in function of complex variable also in order to evaluate the limiting value. So that's why we'll be using this method only to disprove that limit doesn't exist or to prove the non-existence of limit. Okay, so in the next class I will be discussing how we can use this method to check the non-existence of limit and what are the different properties of limit of a complex valued function. So before I share the exam link, just let me check your attendance manually. Then I'll be giving the exam link, exam codes and all. Okay, roll number 1, 2, 3,
Present, sir.
Present, sir.
Roll number two, present.
and 2, 3 given. 4, 5,
Yes, sir.
4 present, 5 present. 6, 7,
Present, sir. Roll number
8,
7.
roll number 8, 9, 10, 11,
Present, sir. Roll 10.
11,
Present, sir.
12,
Present, sir.
13,
Present, sir.
14,
Yes, sir.
15,
Yes, sir.
16,
Present, sir.
17,
Present, sir.
18,
Present, sir.
19,
Present, sir.
20, roll number 20.
Present.
Okay,
Present, sir.
okay, thank you. Just where I am sharing the exam code. So this is the exam code and this is the link. So just click the link and give your full enrollment ID and the exam code and complete the test. So someone amongst you just check and please let me know whether you can access it right now or not.
Yes, sir, you can access it.
Okay, okay, so complete the exam and I'm leaving. Thank you all for attending today's.